And welcome back in, Retriever fans. Latest edition of the UMBC Baseball Weekly Report, recapping the week that was, looking ahead the week that will be for UMBC Baseball with baseball head coach Liam Bowen. Coach, welcome back.
Thanks, Dave.
Retrievers 18-24, 8-13 in the league, just 3 games back in the division. 1-2 weekend against Binghamton this past weekend, and then a win against Towson, which we previewed last week on that was Tuesday or Wednesday night of last week. So coach, we'll start there with that Towson win.
Okay. I thought it was a good indicator of how far we've come during the season. I thought when we played Towson earlier this year at their place, the game was more even. They had a guy throw pretty well. We ended up losing, but I thought it was 2 teams that were fairly evenly matched. And then last Wednesday night, it ended up being a comfortable win for us. And I think that goes back to these guys doing a lot of the right things. It's been a good group to coach. At times a little bit frustrating that we haven't been able to break through in some of these close games, but overall, very coachable, hardworking group, really connected to each other. A younger group, those younger groups, they tend to improve, with the more experience that they get. And as the season goes on, and the learning curve is a little bit steeper for those guys. So I thought it was a good signpost for all that stuff, that we're a different team now here in May than we were certainly in February and March. And that's kind of goal number 1 for any given year, is you want to improve during the year. You don't want to be done improving when opening day rolls around. So I thought that was good. And, I thought it kind of showed our capabilities in terms of being able to control a game, across a number of innings. I thought that was pretty positive.
And then this past weekend, 1-2 weekend up at Binghamton. You got the series finale on Sunday. Just take us through that series and that Sunday game. A good outing from Luke Johnson again on the mound.
Yeah, Luke was great. He threw well against Binghamton last year up at their place, and did it again for us when we really needed him to on Sunday. It was 6 strong innings. Ended with something in the tank. I think he could have gone out there for the 7th, no problem. But we had scored enough to where we could give him a little bit of a lighter day, which was good. He certainly earned it, and he's really just maturing as a pitcher. He's a guy last year that I think really rode the deception on his fastball pretty hard. The days where the ball was jumping out of his hand and his natural deception was playing up, he was successful. And then when that wasn't as effective, he didn't have as many options to go to as he does now. He can beat you with his spin. He can beat you with his changeup. He can move the ball in and out. He's better at holding runners. The jump from freshman to sophomore, even though he did have some success as a freshman for us, has been exactly what you want, and a testament to him working hard at his craft. And then that Sunday game, obviously really encouraging. We were sloppy in the 9th inning, which kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. But for 8 innings, we played about as well as we've played all year. Swung the bats really well. I think we're starting to find that our team's offensive identity is that we're statistically the best team in the conference at managing the strike zone. We have the most walks. We're the toughest team to strike out. And when the other team wants us to chase and we stick with that good approach that we've shown a lot of times this season, then we can usually wear the opposition down. And that's what the game's about, right? It's a war of attrition where you're just trying to wear that other pitcher down, make them go to their bullpen a little bit earlier than they want to, make them use one more reliever than they want to, and eventually that results in runs. So I thought Sunday was really encouraging in that way. And then the previous 2 games, I thought we played okay, did some things well, just not enough to get over the hump and win one of these close ones. But another series, in the America East that was in the balance, getting to be a little bit of a broken record and a little tiresome, going 1-2, honestly. It feels like we either lose a pretty even game or we get a comfortable win. And eventually that's going to change. With these younger guys, eventually we're going to break through, because I think we've been outscored by our opponents on the season by only 2 runs, and we're 6 games under 500. I mean, that's almost hard to do. So I think the quality of the team at some point is going to show through, and we're going to change some of these L's into W's. But overall, between the Towson game and then what we saw on Sunday, I think there's a trajectory here that's worth being encouraged about. And the guys, I think, are starting to figure out, like, hey, wait a second, we're actually, when we're on top of our game and we're doing what we're capable of doing, we're going to be a handful for anybody on our schedule. It's just, how often can we be that team?
And then it's got to be good to see them start to have that switch flip in their minds, like, hey, we're in this game, we can actually pull this one out for you as a coach?
Sure. And I thought a couple guys that were a good example of that on Sunday were our two lefties in the lineup. Tony, so Tony Kruger, who I've been saying his name is Tony Kruger, he just told me a week ago that it's pronounced Tony Krieger. So I want to apologize to the entire Krieger family for messing up his name. He's such a low maintenance guy. He just didn't even bother with it. He said, hey, whatever you want to call me is fine, coach. So a heck of a young man. Love coaching him, but it's actually Tony Krieger. So I'm making the adjustment myself. So Tony Krieger and Luke Trithall in the lineup on Sunday. Both had perfect days. I think they were combined 8 for 8. And I think that shows a certain maturity in their approach. Number one, they did it a couple different ways: hit the ball pull side, hit the ball back sides, a couple 2 strike hits, some real kind of dimension and the ability to hurt the opponent in different ways. But also, I think it's a sign of maturity to close the deal on a day with that fourth hit, because it's easy when you already have 2 or 3 hits in the bag for a guy to let up on his focus and to kind of say, it's already been a good day. Like, I don't really need to, compete in this at bat like it's the first at bat of the day. But both of them did that, and we tacked on some runs that, if we hadn't attacked them on, it might have gotten a little hairy at the end there when we were sloppy in the ninth. So that's the kind of thing that we're looking for, right? Like, we're looking for guys to take that next step. Matt Ryan's another one at third base, a guy who edged his way into the lineup, as a freshman, and early on was, learning the level, kind of learning how he can apply, his skills to what we do. And as the weeks have gone on, he's just become a more and more impactful player to, where he's making plus plays defensively. He's swinging a hot bat. He's a guy who's a dependable on base guy for us. So those are just kind of 3 off the top of my head that we're starting to see make these steps. And as we get that across the team, I think that's going to eventually pay dividends.
And then I guess we want to apologize to the Krieger family as well. We've been calling him Tony Kruger all year in the press box and the PA and everything. So we'll start.
Well, he kept it a secret, so it's partially on Tony. I'm not going to take all of the blame, but I will take my share in that. Obviously want to get the young guy's name right, but a guy who's having a tremendous season. It's been a real rock for us behind the plate. He's catching pretty much every game at this point with the way the schedule's falling out. I believe he's between his walks and hit by pitches, he's got 23 of those against only 9 strikeouts. I mean, that's pretty special in that position. That's pretty rare to get a guy who is that polished offensively, who can do the toughest job on the field defensively. So been a tremendous addition for us, whatever his name is, in 2022. But yeah, Tony Krieger, we'll make sure we get that right from now on.
And then luckily you guys have 2 home weekends left in this year. So kind of get into that. You're on the road for the final time this weekend, but having those last 2 weekends of the year of the conference season at home, how big is that for you guys as you look to make this push into the playoffs?
It'll be as big as we make it, right? You got to take advantage of being at home for one thing, but I think it's a nice way for the schedule to fall. And obviously there's an element of randomness in that. It kind of depends on what you draw in each year, but I like the idea of testing your team on the road in these tough conference series. Binghamton was a tough series. Stony Brook will be a tough series this weekend. When we went to NJIT a couple weeks ago, they're a really good opponent. And then, being able to try and capitalize on the development you get from being tested by those teams in your own park, pushing for, hopefully a better playoff seed, and maybe being able to push our way up the standings a little bit. But as a group, even though we don't have a ton of time left in the season, just the 3 weeks of the regular season and then the tournament, I think our best baseball is in front of us. I really do. I think, like I said, the Towson game was a good indicator and so forth. Like, we've gotten better as the season's gone on, and we're a pretty young team too. I mentioned that before, but I just think we're improving at a good rate, and the performances are getting, in my mind, much better. Like, I'm much more comfortable with the performances in general than I was 2 months ago. Now, the results eventually, the results sometimes lag the performances. So eventually, I think those performances are going to turn into results. We just wanted to start doing it this weekend, and we're going to do everything we can to make that happen.
And then let's look ahead to this weekend. You're at Stony Brook. Always a tough place to play, always a well-disciplined team. You saw that when they were here a couple weeks ago. Just kind of take a look at that one and preview that series with the Seawolves.
Oh, I mean, we just saw them, so it's a little bit unique that we're going to see them again. so quickly, I think everybody can expect a very similar series. We had 2 one-run games with them, and one more comfortable win where I thought we played pretty well. They they're going to be a team that you have to take whatever you get from the series out of their hands, right? They're not going to be just giving you, a nice day at the office. That's for sure. So, we expect that. We know what it's about. I think in particular some of these young players having that experience playing, the past 7 America East Conference series. I think their expectations have been, well calibrated at this point, and it's just going to be about, can we be the team that we've been, last Sunday, the previous Saturday when we had a good win against Stony Brook, the Sunday before that against NJIT, Sunday against UMass Lowell. I mean, I guess if every day was Sunday, we'd be in great shape. But we're just a team that I think is a pretty good team that's been held back by some close losses and is learning to be more consistent. And that's where we are right now. And that's okay. That's worth being encouraged with. It's not satisfying. It's not something that, it's not a place where we want to buy property, so to speak. We want to, move on to the next. And Stony Brook will be a tough team to do that against, but that's what we signed up for. So we're looking forward to playing those guys. That's for sure.
All right. Well, Coach, as always, thanks for the time. Good luck this weekend.
All right, Dave. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. The Retrievers are back in action on Friday, Saturday, Sunday up on Long Island against Stony Brook. All those games will be on America East TV. And you keep up to date with UMBC baseball at umbcretrievers.com and the team's Twitter page at UMBC Baseball.